Good evening, Tuscaloosa, Internet world. How we doing out there? What's going on? It's the Joe Gaither Show, West Alabama. What's going on? This is the Joe Gaither Show on BamaCentral and BamaCentral.com. Hanging out with you on a Wednesday evening. Hope you guys are having a great start to your week. You're halfway home. I know it's a vacation week. It's blooming for a lot of you. People are working and are not working. Nobody's feeling like working. But it was work day at BamaCentral, and we had a lot of fun with it. And I appreciate everybody watching us at BamaCentral.com. Oh, my gosh. There we go. Got to fire up. Got to keep the lights on. Got to keep the lights on right here on the Joe Gaither Show. Yeah, so it's Wednesday night, and it is the Joe Gaither Show. You can follow me at Joe Gaither6. We're a proud part of the BamaCentral Broadcasting Network on BamaCentral.com, at BamaCentral SI, on Instagram, at Alabama Crimson Tide, on Sports Illustrated, on Facebook, all over the place. We're your Alabama Crimson Tide home on Sports Illustrated, and I am at Joe Gaither6 on all the social media machines. Hit me with your comments, your questions, your queries, and complaints. Oh, my goodness, what a day did we have. And I'm sorry to get going so late for all you guys. But, yeah, we had a great day, a blast of a day. First off, it's National Early Signing Day. Happy National Early Signing Day. If you're living under a rock, it's actually National Early Signing Day. But obviously, if you're watching this show, you probably, or if you're listening to this show on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or on Amazon, you probably already are well aware that today is National Early Signing Day. Alabama finishes the day with the number 2 clash. Alabama goes from 3 up to number 2, and the Tide pretty much holds right there. Is going to finish at number 2 unless some odd things happen over the next couple of months, 2 months or so. First Wednesday of February will be Alabama's chance, I guess, to take that number 1 overall class. But I don't really think that's that big of a deal because Alabama came away with 25 really good guys, really nice players in the class. Now, there's still some room to grow. There's still some holes to fill, and the transfer portal will be for that. And Coach Nick Saban in the Naylor Stone Media Room alluded to that earlier in the evening. That's what also put me behind today. We heard from Coach Nick Saban at 4 o'clock. You can read about that at BamaCentral.com. Myself and Austin Hannon writing about that. So, yeah, we were up early watching the signings, and basically Alabama was doing 2 things. And one aspect, Alabama was announcing signings because, okay, we've got guys that we know are already in the tank, they've already faxed in their paperwork early in the morning, and or that have been practicing with the Crimson Tide already for the last handful of days. If they have been practicing, well, that basically serves as their paperwork, and so the coach, so the Crimson Tide was announcing prospects on one end and chasing several prospects on another end. And it was a good day for Alabama. Not a great day, but a good day for Alabama on the recruiting trail. Alabama, like I said, they jumped from number 3 up to number 2. They jumped over Ohio State, and some of that was due to Ohio State losing momentum. Some of that it was due to Alabama gaining prospects. You ended up with 2 flips and an extra defensive lineman today. You got a defensive lineman at 11 o'clock, Steve Mbuamua, and then you also got wide receiver Arian Hampton at 12 o'clock, flipped from Texas, and then at 1 o'clock, you got Kevin Riley flipped away from Miami. Unfortunately, you were not able to flip Edric Houston away from Ohio State, the Buford product, staying with the Ohio State Buckeyes, and that would have probably that would have really put you right on the heels of Georgia with that number 1 overall class. But like I said, I think it's semantics. Once you're in that top 3, top 4 class, I think it's semantics about, our class was better than your class and your class was better than my class. It's a lot of fun to sit here and say, we had the number 1 overall class. But, with the transfer portal, like I know with the transfer portal, anything can happen year after year after year. You saw what happened with Texas A&M and their very, very strong recruiting class. Lots of their Lots of their great recruits have gone and transferred elsewhere. Walter Nolan still in the transfer portal. Maybe he's going to end up at Ole Miss. That LT Overton came to Alabama. Evan Stewart is in the transfer portal as well. Maybe he's going to end up at Alabama. I kind of doubt it, but maybe he's going to end up at Alabama as well. So let's talk about the guys that Alabama did get. You already know the 15, 16 guys that are early enrolled pretty well. The Julian Sayans, the Xavier Browns, the Peyton Woodyards, the Justin Okoronkwo's. You saw Jay Lindsey jump into the class pretty early. Yeah, let's go through these alphabetically. This is per the Alabama athletic staff. Thank you so much. Jeremiah Beeman, Xavier Brown, Sterling Dixon, Isaiah Faga, Jameer Grimsley, Arian Bubba Hampton, Joe Ionata, Amari Jefferson, Caden Jones, Drake Patrick Jr., Jay Lindsey, Jalen Mbakwe, Steve Mbuamua, Red Morgan, Caleb Odom, Justin Okoronkwo, Casey Poe, Kevin Riley, Jay Sean Ross, Will Sanders, Julian Say, Enrico Scott, and Peyton Woodyard. Those are your 23 signees for today. And you may be saying, oh my gosh, where is Ryan Williams? Well, Ryan Williams this entire time has been wanting to sign on February 9th, his birthday. So he's going to wait to sign February 9th, and he's going to take several official visits, is what he said. He's going to enjoy the recruiting process. So he's going to be going to Texas. He's going to be going to Auburn. He's going to be going to several different places. LSU, Georgia as well. And I think he's locked into Alabama. I think he's just wanting to see some of these other schools while he still can. But anyways, okay, February 9th for Ryan Williams. That makes your 24th prospect. And Quentin Reese becomes an interesting deal. Number 25. Quentin Reese he did not sign today. I think he still is considering himself to be a scholarship player with the Crimson Tide. I don't know if they quite feel that way, if the coaching staff, the administration feels that way with him or not. I think it's kind of in a wait-and-see mode with Quentin Reese, three-star player out of Ramsey High School. He's a Ramsey Ram, I believe, right up there in Birmingham. So it's a good class. Is it an eye-popping class? To me, not really. I mean, okay, first off, you got Julian Sand, and Julian Sand's going to cover a lot of sins. Look, we all know what Bryce Young did for Alabama over the course of his 3 years here at the capstone, 2 years starting, 1 year on the bench. In his 2 years starting, he covered up a lot of holes because he was a very, very talented quarterback. He moved in the pocket very well. He handled pressure very well. I think he elevated the play of his receivers. I think he got Alabama's offense into great plays. Subsequently, I think that Julian Sayin, is he Bryce Young? No, I don't want to say that yet. I've only seen him on tape. But I do think he's quite talented. I do think he's very, very talented to such a degree where he's going to erase sins or cover holes in this Alabama team. And so you look at this 2024 class and you see some holes, but you also see some points of strength. It's interesting the way that Alabama has attacked the recruiting process and the recruiting cycle. You get the 5-star quarterback, boom, you're good. You get 4 receivers, Ryan Williams, Arian Hampton, Amari Jefferson, and Rico Scott. All right, you're set. You have the athletic tight end, and then you have a blocking tight end. Boom, Caleb Odom and Jay Lindsey. Boom, you're set. All right, you got a big hole here. You got some holes here in the running game because your offensive line is just Casey Poe, William Sanders, and Joe Ionata. And you guys know I love the 3 of them. They've all 3 been on the show, just like Julian saying. They've all three been on the show, and you should go back and check them out if you haven't heard those interviews. I love them. But where's the tackle in the class? Where's the 2 tackles in the class? You missed out on Jordan Seaton. Jordan Seaton, 5-star tackle from IMG. That's usually 5-star tackle from IMG, or works right in to Alabama. That usually works out that way. It didn't work out that way this time. He ends up at Maryland after playing all his cards. Look, this is a guy that whether Alabama wanted him or not, and I do think Alabama wanted him, I think he was leveraging NIL. He ended up committing to Colorado and today signing with Maryland. And I think he's leveraged his NIL very, very well. So Alabama misses out on Jordan Seaton. You end up, you're basically after Favor Edwin, who's a 3-star tackle out of Georgia. And that's an okay prospect. But you want more out of the offensive line room. And Coach Saban did talk about that today, needing more out of this offensive line room. I do think that Joe Ionata, that Casey Poe, and that Will Sanders, all three can be probably players on this team. I think one of them might need to learn how to snap, but I think that these three players can probably be, building blocks and good offensive linemen on this team. Probably not in 2024, unfortunately for them. They're going to have to wait. They're going to have to be patient. But you give them to 2026 or so when they're redshirt sophomores, you never know what's going to happen with the rotation and the way that things shake out after Tyler Booker and moves on. But you need a tackle in the class. And so Coach Saban's going to have to fill the tackle need either with Favor Edwin out of Georgia, or he's going to have to go to the transfer portal and get somebody like he did when he went up to Vanderbilt and got Tyler Steen. And Tyler Steen was an okay guy, but Alabama really had some holes at that point. You had Tyler Steen on the left side. You had Chris Owens on the right side. And Tyler Steen, B+. Chris Owens, was a C+, B- type player. And I hate to be critical, but it just is what it is. He just wasn't quite an SEC right tackle. You all saw that the entire time while he was here. So Nick Saban's going to have to go back into the transfer portal, and you really want not one but two guys in this class. You want to be pulling in 5 offensive linemen every single year because you're going to lose offensive linemen in the transfer portal. You never know who you're going to lose this year. You almost lost Elijah Pritchett, who is going to be right in line to compete for the starting right tackle position next year. Like if you lost Elijah Pritchett, you'd be down to, no disrespect, but you'd be down to Olasa Lennon, and you'd be down to Wilkin Formby as your tackles. And I think that both of those guys are going to be competitive at that right tackle spot next year. But you're ending up with a big problem depth-wise when you look at the grand scheme of things, offensive line-wise. So I like what you got in the 3 guys. It's Casey Poe, Joe Ionata, and Will Sanders. All of them, Casey Poe was a borderline 5-star. I think that the other 2 were 4-star, borderline 4-star top prospects, and high-rated 3-star prospects that are going to develop into, you give them 2 years. Those 2 guys seem like they have the mindset. They've got the frame. They have the body framework. They're going to be disciplined, and we'll see what they end up doing. But you do want more tackles. Staying on the offensive side of the football, you ended up flipping Kevin Riley today. Kevin Riley, the number 4 rated running back, according to 24/7 Sports, right out of Tuscaloosa County High Wildcat, right up the road from me, 43, maybe 10 minutes away or so. I've seen him play half a dozen times so far. He's a really talented running back. Is he an SEC running back? I don't quite know, but you needed a running back in this class. And Daniel Hill's been playing games all over, been playing recruiting games. Let's just face it. Let's call it what it is. Obviously, he's been going back and forth between Mississippi State and Tennessee and Alabama and South Carolina, and you do want to get a guy like Daniel Hill, but he's just been playing games. Oh, my family wants me to stay close to home. I want to go to South Carolina. Oh, Alabama's a nice happy medium. Do I want to go do the work that Alabama is, or do I just like the attention that Alabama gives me? I think you've been kind of dealing with that with Daniel Hill. So Daniel Hill allegedly signs tomorrow. He signs tomorrow, but he's going to hold it under wraps. The 4-star running back out of Meridian, Mississippi. He's going to hold it under wraps until the January 6th Under Armour All-Star game. I think it's the Under Armour All-Star game, but he's going to hold it under wraps until January 6th. And then he's going to announce. So maybe Alabama got another running back coming tomorrow. You don't know because they missed out on Jaden Ball, 4-star running back out of Columbus, Georgia, went to Florida today. So you came away with 1 running back. So there's your problems in this class. You ended up with a superstar quarterback. You ended up with perfect number of receivers. You ended up with a nice and balanced tight end room. You have holes in your offensive line room. You have deficiencies in your running back room. Now, some of that's due to you've got Justice Haynes and Richard Young and Jam Miller coming up on their next years, and so you're going to be fine at that in that spot. When you look at when you take into account the players that are already on the roster. But offensive line-wise, I think you do need to make sure you go out and find yourself a tackle in the transfer portal sometime in the next 2 weeks. Okay, flip to the other side of the football. Let's flip to the other side of the football. Let's have some fun. Okay, so Edric Houston. That was the big name. That was the big five-star name that Alabama could have flipped today out of Buford, Georgia. You all know the Buford pipeline. The Buford pipeline runs pretty deeply. You got Jake Pope, you got Seth McLaughlin, you got Isaiah Bond, and you've got Justice Haynes last season. So you have four guys out of Buford High School. You are looking to make it a fifth. Looking to make it a fifth with Edric Houston. He was going to commit at noon, and the Buford ceremony was very strange. Obviously, you guys might have been interested in it because of the Edric Houston thing. I was as well, but they also had Dylan Raiola committing or signing with Nebraska. They also had KJ Bolden. KJ Bolden flipped from Florida State to Georgia, but the Buford ceremony was very strange. It was interesting to watch. You had the Buford coach standing up there and being like, "This is Joe Gaither, outside linebacker. He's committed to Colgate University. Colgate University is a Division III school," and he basically read off the accolades when it came to Edric Houston. It was Edric Houston is committed to Ohio State University. Ohio State plays in the Big Ten Conference. They've won this many. Basically, it's just reading off these accolades for every single player. And if you know Buford, they had like 7 or 8 signees. So it's a little much, but at the end of the day, Edric Houston commits and signs, stays with its commitment for Ohio State. And word is Alabama was very close to flipping Edric Houston. Word is an NIL deal, a last-minute call to Ohio State, a last-minute maybe assurances or maybe some extra zeros were thrown in there for Edric Houston. Alabama almost got him. That's where we'll leave it. But they didn't. They didn't, and that really stings. On the defensive side of the ball, you got Isaiah Faga, you got Jeremiah Beeman. You ended up getting this guy, Steve Mboamoa, out of Canada. And that was an interesting ceremony as well. At 11 a.m. Central Time, Steve Mboamoa out of Quebec was essentially, not essentially, he was. They were up there. It was just like a regular gymnasium, but they were all speaking French. And really the only Roll Tide word, or the only English words that I heard were Roll Tide. And so it was very interesting to me to pick up, and I heard a lot of bonjour and a lot of merci, like thank you for this and thank you, merci for and so look, he's a big old dude, 6'4", 270 pounds. It'll be interesting to see how he handles the South a little bit as a French Canadian, Steve Mboamoa. Obviously, you already know about Sterling Dixon. He's already early enrolled. Let me flip back to this. That'll help you, Joe, for your defensive. Flip it back to your notes. We talked about Jeremiah Beam, Xavier Brown. Look, the defensive back class is bleeping nasty. It's really, really good. Xavier Brown on one corner. You're gonna end up with Drake Kirkpatrick playing safety. You're gonna end up with Red Morgan playing safety. And you're gonna end up with Peyton Woodyard playing safety. You're pretty much loaded. You're gonna end up with Jameer Grimsley playing corner, and Jalen Mbakwe playing corner as well. That pretty much stops it up. Mbakwe on one side, Xavier Brown on the other. We'll put Jameer Grimsley in the slot and say you can't throw at us with Peyton Woodyard, Red Morgan, and Drake Kirkpatrick Jr. as well playing safety. So it's going to be really loaded on the back end. You don't really have, in my opinion, great interior linebackers, but you did get Caden Jones, and you all heard him on the program as well. He's been on the show as well. Justin Okoronkwo is a huge mystery. Linebacker out of Germany. That makes for 2 foreign prospects, Justin Okoronkwo and Steve Mboamoa out of Canada and out of Germany. But your interior linebackers, you got Jay Sean Ross. He's going to be an edge guy. You got Caden Jones is going to be an inside guy. Sterling Dixon might be an inside, might be an edge guy. You're kind of lost. You kind of have a hole right there in the middle. So that's going to be something that Alabama is going to have to address over the next couple of years. But you never know. I mean, obviously, you're waiting on guys like Kendrick Blackshaw to pop, like Ian Jackson to pop. You're wondering if Deontay Lawson's going to return. You got Justin Jefferson out of JUCO last season, so you never know. And look, you all saw Jihad Campbell. He had such a strong season as well. So it's not like Alabama's hurting at any of these positions. It's just criticisms when you look at the class as a whole. There's just some positions where Alabama maybe didn't get a guy or didn't get enough numbers. Obviously, maybe a one or two too many in the defensive backfield when you think about six guys. But if the guys can play, the guys can play. And the deal with the transfer portal these days is you just take as many guys that you evaluate that can play. You deal with the NIL as best you can along the way, and then you say, okay, we're going to develop them as best we can. We'll use the transfer portal to fill in any gaps that you have. Like this year, you're going to see somebody come in and come in, and they might not start at right tackle, but they're going to come in and be a rotational tackle to give you probably a third or fourth tackle on the bench for this 2024 season. So it was a fun day today, man. It was a blast covering all these guys, watching the recruitments, getting to know them a little bit, kind of feeling the buzz about, recruit. It was college football Christmas. That's what it is. Honestly, that's what it is. And people could say, oh, Joe, you care too much about 18-year-olds. No, I don't care where they go. Do I want them to go to Alabama? Of course I do. I want every single one of them to go to Alabama, but I just know that that's not possible. I want them to go where their future is going to be the best, where they think that they're going to have a great future and where it's going to work out for themselves, both academically, athletically, be developed on and off the field. I think that Alabama has a good class, maybe not an eye-popping class. I think the wide receivers that they got are going to be pretty solid. Amari Jefferson, I like what he brings. I think he's got some of that dog in him. Same with Arian Hampton. Coach talked about that today. I don't know much about Rico Scott, but of course, Ryan Williams is insane. Ryan Williams is absolutely insane. So you take the insanity of Ryan Williams and the really polished nature of Julian Sayem, you pair those two together, and everything else is just going to is what it is. Going to have to fill out around him. It's going to be a lot of fun to see this Alabama team morph, continue, and, the roster management. See Coach Saban continue to roster manage. But Coach Saban wasn't really happy today. I mean, he wasn't angry by any stretches. He wasn't rude by any stretches of the imagination. He wasn't short by any stretches, but he didn't seem very thrilled to talk recruiting, to talk about early signing day. He did graciously. We appreciate that. But he was very, hey, we got a game to play. We're focused on the game, and he answered our specific questions about certain prospects, and very, nicely. But you can tell in somebody's demeanor that they just don't want to be there. You can tell when he's tapping the podium, He just don't want to be there. You could tell he didn't want to be, talking about these, 17, 18-year-old kids who haven't earned anything quite yet. He wants all the focus to be on the Rose Bowl, as it should be. And Alabama is 11, 12 days away from kicking off in the Rose Bowl. It's going to be a lot of fun. I encourage you guys to go back to our Friday episode to listen to some of our early analysis on Michigan. We'll give you more analysis on Michigan as we approach the game a little bit more. But no, we heard from Coach Saban for the last time here in Tuscaloosa. Those guys are going to celebrate Christmas and get on a plane, and they'll be in Pasadena. And so the next time that Coach Saban talks, we will rely on Austin Hannon, Blake Byler, and Katie Wyndham at BamaCentral.com for any of their comments. And so we appreciate those guys going out to California for us. All right, so let's keep it rolling on the show today. It's in the evening time. We're not going to keep you too much more. We're going to talk. The last little bit is going to be about basketball just real briefly. Alabama's going to tip off against Arizona here in about 3 hours. Yeah, I know it's late 30 for you guys. Our guys, Blake Byler and Jacob Pickle, are out there in Arizona. They're covering the game for BamaCentral. You can follow Blake Byler, Blake_Byler 44, I think is what it is, 45. Anyways, you can just find Blake Byler, just type it in, Blake Byler. But Alabama's got a huge chance tonight. Huge chance tonight to right the ship or to get the feelings going the other way. You're playing Jaden Bradley. You're playing scoring phenomenon Caleb Love. They've got several big guys as well, and Mbolo as well. They've got several frontline guys. It's going to be challenging. Look, they've only lost one game. They lost to Purdue. Look, Alabama, look yourselves in the mirror, guys. Look yourselves in the mirror. You have lost games only because of yourselves. The only times that you've lost games, you lost to Clemson, you lost to Ohio State, you lost to Purdue, and last week you lost to Creighton, and all you have is yourself to blame. Like, okay, you can say, well, we didn't make shots, Joe. We didn't make shots. Baloney, who cares? You scored enough in every single one of those games to win the games. Your defense has been hooey all over the place. The effort on the defensive side of the floor has been hooey. So, coach, we got to get the defensive rotations figured out. You got to get the defensive rotations figured out. Do we have to play zone defense to protect the front line? Whatever we got to do. Tonight's a huge opportunity. If you carry an Arizona victory into conference play, the confidence that it gives you. Look. You say, oh, we played our best basketball on Saturday against Creighton. And I believe you. You know, it was okay. It wasn't terrible. It was okay. I believe you. The confidence that you would get taking a win over Arizona into conference play after the bumpiness, after the tumultuous nature of the last couple of weeks, the tumultuous nature of, you know, anytime you play a team that's worth their salt, you get beat. You're 1-4. All right, I will live with a 1-4 record against Power 5 opponents if you move it to 2-4 record against Power 5 opponents, and one of those victories is against Arizona in the Footprint Center right outside of the university. Yeah, it's a neutral site game, but it is really a road game for Alabama. Be huge for Alabama to win the game tonight. And what do you need for Alabama to do that? What do you need? You need to have a more consistent effort on the defensive side of the floor. And where does it start? With Aaron Estrada, with Aaron Estrada and with Mark Sears. Look, Mark, you have been playing lights out on the offensive side of the floor. You've been leading Alabama pretty much every game in scoring. I appreciate it. Mark Sears helped me win a small side bet with the BamaCentral crew in a previous game. I won a whole bunch of nothing. I won smart call, Joe. That was what I won, and that's all I need in those little situations. But here's the deal. You got Mark Sears lighting it up on the offensive side of the floor, but getting beat on the defensive end. Mark Sears and Aaron Estrada got to get down in the defensive stance, got to commit to stopping the ball, got to commit to getting up into passing lanes, getting up into ball handlers, and thus not getting beat off the dribble. You get beat off the dribble, you bring Nick Pringle to stop the ball. Boom, you're in pick and roll situations. You're in drop coverage situations. No, you got to fight over that daggum screen, Mark Sears. You got to fight over that daggum screen, Aaron Estrada. You got to fight over it so that your big man's not caught into bad position. So that your big man's not caught into, do I guard the ball? Do I guard my own man? Do I stay? Do I get ready to create a rebound? Do I get ready to go for a rebound? Or do I step out and foul somebody? That's what it's all about on the defensive end. You talk about fouls and fouling out the last two big old games. That's what it's been all about, because your guards cannot guard the ball and are getting beat off the ball. And you played against two 7-footers, Cockbrenner and Zach Edey. Well, there's another 7-footer on the menu tonight. But the 7-footer didn't beat you against Creighton. No, the two guards that went for 20 and 22 beat you. Yes, Cockbrenner went for 19, but he's 7 feet tall. You're going to have to concede that to a 7-footer. What you don't have to concede is all the dribble penetration, the movement, and basically the picking and popping, the creating open looks in the mid-range and in the mid-range for these guards, and in penetration for these guards. So Can Alabama win tonight? Yeah, they can. They can beat Arizona. They can absolutely beat Arizona. There's no reason. Look, their offensive efficiency is still top 5 in the country. So there's no reason why they can't win against Arizona. But their defense has been atrocious, has been beyond hooey. I got more terrible words for it that aren't appropriate for this show. Like, the defense has been absolutely atrocious. And people can talk about Pringle and talk about Muhammad Wagi fouling out. And, of course, you need more than 7 minutes out of Muhammad Wagi. But you've got to put them in better positions, both A, coaching-wise, Coach Oates, maybe you should consider his own defense, and B, effort-wise and execution-wise, Mark Sears and Aaron Estrada. So stop the ball and the ball handlers, and that will give you much better chance at success tonight. Look, the ball game is going to be in 3 hours. It's going to be on Fox, so you're going to have to stay up late. Is it on Fox? Yeah, it is. No, it's on ESPN, right? Alabama basketball. Alabama's playing on ESPN at 10 o'clock. 10 o'clock. Arizona 7.5-point favorite. That's what I wanted. I bet you. Shoot, I bet that's about right. I told somebody earlier today that I think Alabama's going to lose by 9, but I want to be optimistic on the air. I don't want to be optimistic on the show. I do believe Alabama can win. Oh, but my realism's kicking in. That's 7.5. I say Alabama covers but loses. They're gonna cover that 7.5, but they're going to lose the game, unfortunately. I'd be surprised. I'd be happy. I'd be thrilled if Alabama can come home with a victory. And if they do or if they don't, it doesn't matter. On Saturday, the guys are playing at 3 o'clock here in Coleman Coliseum. And you all know my spiel. You all know my deal about come to the games. It's 3 o'clock. It's on Saturday. You're going to be off. Your dad's going to be off. Your mom's going to be off. Look, somebody's going to be shopping. Everybody, get away from the you need to get out of the house. Your family's going to be in town. You're trying to break away. Go to the basketball game. The tickets will be cheap. They're playing what? Eastern Kentucky, I believe. Eastern Kentucky. Yeah, Eastern Kentucky at 3 o'clock on Saturday. So make your plans now like you would for a football game. That at 3 o'clock, we're going to take me, Johnny, the nieces, and the nephews out to Coleman Coliseum, and we're going to support the guys. There's only a couple more non-conference games left before Alabama opens up conference play. So come on, show the guys that you support this program. Don't have an excuse. Oh, it's Christmas break weekend. Oh, okay. If Alabama were playing at home on Saturday at 3 o'clock, if Alabama football were playing at home on Saturday at 3 o'clock, even against Eastern Kentucky, your butts would be there in Bryant-Denny Stadium. I guarantee it. Just my 2 cents on that. All right, so we're going to get out of here for the day. Tomorrow, we will probably put the recruiting to bed. We'll put the recruiting to bed, and we'll start to really deep dive on the Michigan playbook. We'll be 10, 11 days away from Rose Bowl kickoff, and I cannot wait to get into that with you guys. Alabama still 1.5, 2.5 point underdog, and I cannot believe that. I think that bodes very, very well for Alabama. Is good. They should not be underestimated. Do not talk a whole bunch of junk in your work chats or around your water coolers, because I think Michigan is good, and I think that they're going to give Alabama a nice little fight in the Rose Bowl, and we'll talk about it over the next 10, 11 days right here on the Joe Gaither Show. I want to encourage you to follow Blake Byler because he's out in Arizona. He flew out to the Footprint Center to cover this ball game for BamaCentral and BamaCentral.com. You can follow BamaCentral at BamaCentral on X, at BamaCentral SI on Instagram, at Alabama Crimson Tide on Sports Illustrated on Facebook. I am at Joe Gaither 6 on every social media account: Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Snapchat, TikTok. It's at Joe Gaither 6. You can send me your comments, your questions, your queries, and complaints. I'd appreciate it if you gave the show a follow, a like, rate, and review on whatever your podcast platform of choice is: Spotify, Apple Podcast, or on Amazon. We've seen those numbers going up and up and up, and it makes me so happy. I'm so appreciative of you guys who have listened to the show, and especially you guys who have shared the show with your friends on Apple Podcasts, Amazon, or Spotify. The Joe Gaither Show show on Bama Central. And of course, you can always subscribe to the Bama Central YouTube channel. You'll get my show, you'll get Blue Collar Unplugged, you'll get Just a Minute, you'll get basically everything that we do video-wise for BamaCentral.com, and that includes post-game player press conferences, post-game coach press conferences. Everything that we are at media-wise goes up on the Bama Central YouTube channel as well. So subscribe to Bama Central's YouTube channel to be a part of that. That's going to do it for our show today. I appreciate you guys so much. We'll be back again on Thursday for another edition of the Joe Gaither Show on Bama Central and BamaCentral.com.